Abbeville, Alabama isn't the kind of place you find on most maps. Tucked away in the southeastern corner of the state, it's the kind of town where everyone knows your name, where porches creak under rocking chairs, and where the nights are almost too quiet. You can feel the weight of the past in the air, like the town remembers things it doesn't talk about anymore. It's beautiful in the daylight, sure, but something changes when the sun goes down. The oak trees lining the streets cast long shadows, and the stillness becomes thick, as if the darkness itself is listening. Locals say Abbeville has a story most outsiders wouldn't believe, not one you'd read in history books, but one that's whispered after dark, when the kids have gone to bed and the wind starts to move through the trees, like it has something to say. If you happen to be walking alone on a quiet street late at night, especially near the edge of town, you might feel it, the sensation that you're not alone, that something or someone is watching from the other side of the dark. It's not the kind of fear that makes you scream. It's colder than that, heavier, like a presence brushing just behind your neck. Some say it's just old Southern superstition. Others say those people never met her. In Abbeville, they call her Huggin Molly, and once you've heard her name, it's hard to forget. They say she doesn't hurt you, but if she finds you wandering after dark, she'll wrap her long arms around you and scream right into your ears, loud enough to rattle your bones. No one knows why she does it, but they all agree on one thing: you don't want to meet her alone. They say she stands over 7 feet tall, towering, gaunt, and always dressed in flowing black from head to toe. A wide-brimmed hat shadows her face, but people swear they've seen glowing eyes beneath it. Her footsteps are silent, even when she walks across gravel or dried leaves. But when she's near, the air turns thick and cold, like you've just walked into a place you weren't supposed to be. She's not violent. That's what makes it worse. Huggin Molly doesn't chase with teeth or claws. She waits. She appears just when you're sure you're alone. Then, without warning, she grabs you. Not to drag you away, just to hold you. A hug so strong it feels like iron bands wrapping around your chest. You can't move. You can't breathe. And then comes the scream. It's not human. It's not like anything else. People say it's the kind of sound that doesn't just pierce your ears, it crawls down your spine and nests there. Some say it's rage, others say it's grief. But everyone who's heard it remembers it for the rest of their life. No one's ever seen her face, and no one's ever been able to prove she exists. But in Abbeville, the warning is clear. Don't stay out after dark, especially if you're a child, because Molly isn't just a story. She's a shadow that still walks the streets, and she's always looking for someone to hold. No one knows exactly when the stories began. Some say it was more than 100 years ago, passed down from front porches and fire pits, whispered in the thick, humid nights of the Deep South. The earliest accounts came from children, wide-eyed and breathless, claiming they'd been hugged by something tall and cold on their way home after dusk. At first, no one believed them, until more stories followed. Parents started to repeat the tale, not to entertain, but to warn. Don't stay out too late, they'd say, or Huggin Molly will find you. Some believed she was a grieving mother who lost her child, long ago, driven mad by sorrow, cursed to roam the night looking for any child to hold. Others claimed she was never human at all, something ancient that simply took a form we could understand. What's strange is how consistent the descriptions are. Generations apart, different people, most of them strangers, described the same figure, tall, dressed in black, silent until she screams. It wasn't the kind of story that changed with time. It stayed the same, like a warning carved into the bones of the town itself. In Abbeville, even the skeptics don't laugh out loud when her name is mentioned. Because deep down, most folks here know one thing: legends don't survive this long, unless there's something real beneath them. It happened over 40 years ago, but Henry Miller still remembers it like it was yesterday. He was just a teenager then, maybe 15, living a block from Main Street in Abbeville. It was summer, and like most kids, he didn't think much of the town's old ghost stories. He'd heard them all, especially the one about Huggin Molly. He thought it was just something parents used to scare their kids into coming home before dark. So one night he decided to test it. He left his friend's house around midnight, walking home alone under the dim yellow glow of the street lamps. The air was thick with heat and the crickets were the only sound. But halfway home, the street grew quiet, unnaturally quiet. No bugs, no wind, just silence. That's when he saw her. She was standing at the far end of the street. Not walking, just there, tall, motionless, dressed in black, from head to toe, like someone from another time. He stopped, rubbed his eyes. She was still there. And then, without a single sound, she began to move toward him. Henry turned and ran. But no matter how fast he moved, he could feel her closing in, like the air behind him was folding inward. He didn't stop until he reached his front porch, heart pounding, sweat soaking through his shirt. He told his father what happened. His father didn't laugh, didn't call him crazy. He just nodded slowly and said, "Now you know." Henry never walked alone at night again. Even now, as an old man, he won't speak her name after sundown. And if you ask him why, he'll just say, "Because she's real." People have been trying to explain her for decades. Some think Huggin Molly was once a real woman, a mother who lost her only child, maybe in a fire, maybe to illness, no one's sure. They say her grief broke her mind, and when she died, it clung to her spirit, twisting it into something that couldn't rest. That maybe the hugs were never meant to terrify but to comfort, that the scream was never anger but pain. Others aren't so kind. There's a darker theory that Molly was never human to begin with, that she's a thing born from sorrow itself, an echo of suffering that's taken shape, something that feeds on fear and sadness, bound to the town because that's where it was first felt. She doesn't want to hurt you, people say, but she wants you to feel what she feels. Cold, alone, trapped, in a memory that never ends. Then there are the skeptics, of course, the ones who say she's just folklore, nothing more than a bedtime story to scare kids into coming home before it gets too late. But even the skeptics don't walk certain roads after dark. They don't linger near the woods at night. They don't say her name out loud when the wind picks up, because deep down even the doubters know. In places like Abbeville, stories don't survive unless something is keeping them alive. You'd think a town haunted by something like Huggin Molly would try to forget her, bury the story, move on. But Abbeville did the opposite. Somewhere along the way, the legend stopped being just a warning and became part of the town's identity. On the corner of Kirkland Street, there's a bright little diner called Huggin Molly's. It looks cheerful enough, with old-fashioned booths and vintage decor. They serve milkshakes, burgers, comfort food. But above the doorway in bold letters, her name is proudly displayed. Inside, you'll find souvenirs with her silhouette, a cartoon version smiling, almost playful. But talk to the locals and the tone shifts. Most people will laugh politely when asked about the legend. But behind the smile, there's always a pause, like they're remembering something they won't say out loud. Tourists take photos with the signs. Kids joke about staying out late. But the old-timers never do. They know better. The town may sell the name, may even celebrate it, but they don't mock her. In Abbeville, the line between myth and memory is thin, and while the town wears her face in daylight, everyone still locks their doors when the sun goes down. Legends fade. Stories change. But in Abbeville, the shadow of Huggin Molly hasn't disappeared. She's still part of the night. Not always seen, but always felt. Ask around and someone will know someone who's heard the scream. Someone whose cousin or brother or grandfather had a run-in they never forgot. It always ends the same, the hug, the scream, the silence after. Maybe it really is just a story. Maybe it's mass hysteria, a shared hallucination passed from generation to generation. Maybe there's nothing in the streets of Abbeville after dark except wind and imagination. But maybe not. Because sometimes, late at night, when the moon is low and the streets are empty, people still report feeling that cold shift in the air, that sudden stillness, that sense that something just stepped out of the dark and is standing a little too close behind you. If you're ever in Abbeville and you find yourself walking alone after midnight, listen carefully. Don't run. Don't speak. And above all, don't look back. Because if she finds you, she won't chase. She won't drag you away. She'll just hold you and scream.